A volunteer firefighter believes his recent cancer diagnosis is linked to last year's Hazelwood mine fire. 44-year-old Rob Gibbs spent 12 hours battling the blaze without breathing safety gear. More from Madeline Slattery.
The Hazelwood mine fire burned for 45 days and now, almost 18 months on, its effects continue to be felt. Amongst the burning coal was volunteer firefighter Rob Gibbs, who was diagnosed with leukaemia 3 weeks ago.
I went in, got some blood tests done a couple of weeks ago, and they said, you've got leukaemia. I said, it was a bit of a shock. I thought you were kidding.
The 44-year-old told 3AW's Neil Mitchell that doctors linked the diagnosis to his firefighting efforts.
They say benzene is a contributing factor to leukaemia, and I've been nowhere else where I could be in contact with so much benzene.
He was one of 20 firefighters who were hospitalised with carbon monoxide poisoning.
It's virtually on a monthly basis we hear about a firefighter who's fallen ill with a particular type of cancer.
The CFA says during the mine fire, blood samples were taken daily.
We had medical experts on scene. We conducted carbon monoxide testing throughout the incident.
But the Firefighters Union claims that's where the health monitoring stopped.
We're concerned that the inquiry recommended an ongoing health study for the community, but it excluded firefighters.
Rob's main concern is now for the other firefighters involved here at Hazelwood. He's urging those volunteers and perhaps even the public to undergo health checks if they haven't already done so. It comes as trucks and crews in the Latrobe Valley undergo mercury testing after responding to a spill 6 weeks ago.
This just highlights how dangerous firefighting is.
Madeline Slattery, 9 News.
Rob Gibbs. Hello, Rob.
G'day, Neil. How are you going?
Ah, that's better. Now, how are you doing? What do they tell you? What do the doctors tell you?
Like I said, I went in, got some blood tests done a couple of weeks ago, and they said, you've got leukaemia. I said, it was a bit of a shock. I thought you were kidding. The doctors have said that the leukaemia I have is could be highly related to being in contact with benzene, and benzene is a byproduct of burning coal.
So, how long did you spend at the fire?
The initial attack, I spent a 12-hour shift of constantly being down there, with being down there for the whole shift.
Isn't that unusual? Wouldn't there be restrictions on how long you spend there?
Initially, Neil, no, there wasn't.
Why?
Because they wanted it out.
So what, you sort of threw the rule book out?
One would suggest that, yeah, a little bit, yes.
So you spent 12 hours inhaling it, and you weren't wearing any breathing gear or anything?
No, just a normal mask, no breathing apparatus. Myself and 14 of my colleagues ended up at the Shale Hospital a day later with carbon monoxide poisoning.
Okay. Now, and why do you believe that the leukaemia could be related?
Well, they say benzene is a contributing factor to leukaemia, and I've been nowhere else where I could be in contact with so much benzene.
What do the doctors say about it? Do they draw a link as well?
Yeah, the doctor has drawn a link to it at this stage. But my concern is, Neil, it's not so much for me, but it's for all the other fireys that were down there that haven't had any tests or anything at this stage yet. And I'm sure, the volunteers need to get out there and get tested, as well as the MFB and CFA career firefighters, if not, for their own peace of mind.
So what, you think there should be tests immediately?
Indeed there should be.
What is your outlook, Rob, when they started treatment?
Now I've started on an oral chemo at this stage, and on Wednesday we're reassessing the drugs and going to go through some new drugs to see how we can take to them.
Yeah. Are they confident they can get on top of it?
Yeah, they are. They said I'll probably just have to live off these drugs for the rest of my days.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 44.
How do you feel about it? What's your emotion about it?
Neil, since the mine fire, it's played with my head a little bit as well. It's something carbon monoxide poisoning, you don't really expect to go out when you get sick like that. It's just, it's been a interesting last, say, 17 months or so.
How long have you been in the CFA?
I've been in the CFA for nearly 15 years.
Okay, so you've done a lot of volunteer firefighting.
Yeah, indeed.
You talk about the firefighters being tested. Do you think, given what happened down there, the public needs to be tested as well?
Oh, indeed. Like, especially the people in the southern part of Morwell, I'd suggest so.
Yeah.
My opinion is that you've got to get on top of this now because it's just going to be an issue later on. Like, if people can get seen and, we're going to be trying to make people safe and find out what's going on now, then in 10 years' time we have an epidemic of people being with carcinogenics and stuff like that. We don't want another fiscal disaster as such.
Yeah. Of course, not everybody who smokes tobacco gets cancer, and not everybody who's been exposed to benzene is going to get ill, are they?
No, true.
So we don't want to terrify people, but I take your point about checking it.
Okay.
Sorry?
Yeah, you're right. People, like you said, not everyone's getting the chance of getting cancer or that. You've probably got more of a chance of getting run over by a car, but we don't be in cars.
Yeah. What do you do for a living?
I run my own business, which is, let's just say the last couple of months has gone back a little bit slowed down because I haven't been able to do that much.
What sort of business is it, Rob?
I run a drug and alcohol testing and fire protection company.
Okay. All right. Well, would you be covered if you take time off?
After 90 days. It takes 90 days for my income protection insurance to kick in.
Okay. All right. Now, have you notified the CFA of this?
Yes, I have, yes.
What was their response?
The wellbeing officer has been he's been amazing. I can't say a bad word against him, he's been great, but let's just say some of the other parts it's fallen on deaf ears. Silence has been deafening.
Okay, well look, we're losing the signal. We could do some new mobile phone towers down around Cower. Hang on, we'll talk to you off air further. We'll get onto the CFA and in fact the unions as well and see what is happening down there. I think you make a fair point. And look, all the best with what you've got ahead. I hope they do get on top of it. I think you're being very sensible about it, not sort of scary, but saying, well, look, this is a possibility. Let's have a look at it. And a lot of people have been concerned on the basis of that. As you say, we do not want another Fiskville. Although this is a different circumstance. This is a real fire. We're not talking about training facilities. We'll chat further off air. We'll get onto the CFA and see what they're doing about it. Basically, what they're doing about you and what they're doing about the broader problem of testing other people. Rob Gibbs, volunteer firefighter, fought the Hazelwood fire in a 12-hour shift with no breathing gear, and he said that's unusual in itself. Ended up in hospital, has now contracted leukemia, which his doctors, he says, have told him could be as a result of coming in contact with benzene in high doses, which is a byproduct of burning coal, which is exactly the fire that he was fighting.